Hey, what's going on?
Is it going?
Is it going?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going. Good
All
Lord.
right.
Spent all this
Okay,
time
so-
with this setup, and I'm like, count us down, count us in, and you're like, what,
Well,
is it
yeah, but
going?
then it's got a little pause
Well,
thing.
yeah,
and
there's a
so
delay.
anyway, I
Come on,
gotta
man.
not watch that. Let me put something in front of it just so that I'm not wasting time. Okay. All right. So what are we here for today?
We're just checking
Just
our
for the
stuff.
podcast.
Yeah, this is not for the podcast. This is literally just for
Testing out the
purposes.
podcast.
We're getting close though. Like, I've got a couple things I want to put in place. So we have new music we're going to use, right? And
I don't remember approving that.
Well, I'd play it for you, but I don't think you could hear it.
No, probably not.
So I want to, how we like normally on the podcast, it's like this week on the Minding Your Business podcast, we do something and blah, 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 right?
With the
And
intro,
it goes
yeah.
into the music. Well, we have different
Dun,
music,
dun,
so,
dun.
yeah.
Okay.
But also I want to have, like, I want to be able to just play that, right? So I'll do a live read and I might stumble over my words. Cool. If I have to fix it in post, we can. But I want to be able to play those sounds live, not have to go in and edit them in post. My goal,
Edit and put it back in.
yeah, my goal is whenever we're done recording, I trim the file and I upload them, to Spotify and all the different places. But so I'm gonna get. Do you know what a Stream Deck is?
Yeah, I have one.
Oh, that's right, you do. So yes, I'm gonna get.
I don't know how to use it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't either.
Yeah.
I do in theory. I have set them up for other people, but I've never
Utilized it.
I've never done it myself. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So real quick, my brother-in-law, who's the one who bought it for my wife so that they could start streaming video games and then do some fun stuff. Well,
Okay.
His idea was he'd get the Stream Deck and then he would upload specific sounds for it. So while they were playing the game,
Right.
she could just lean over and press the button. So it sounded, and they could go, "Oh, thanks so much for the money," even though there's no money, just so they
Right.
could get in the habit of
Right.
saying, "Thanks so much for the money." And so they had a thing that sounded like coins dropping, and then another one that sounded like you're whipping the bills. And long story short, they never once streamed any video games yet. They still play video games. They're doing it online. It's fairly entertaining. I don't know. They play a few games that are really insanely boring to me, but they really seem to enjoy them. I enjoy doing the puzzle games. And sometimes they do VR games. And so that's kind of cool. But so he's set it up and I had him come over and help me set up a few buttons on here. Because I had copy and paste set up on there, but he took those off. So now
that is a terrible use of a Stream Deck. Copy and paste.
Okay, granted. But you know what, too, is I'm now on the okay. So just in case we didn't have anything to talk about, let's talk about this for a minute. I switched over to the Mac, as you know. Loving everything except for some things. And that is the mouse that I'm using is a Logitech fancy schmancy mouse with a bunch of extra buttons and a bunch of which is fine, but it's got the little scroll wheel and it has the fancy scroll wheel where it goes tut, 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 and you can go and it like slows itself and does whatever, and so you can go back and forth. Then there's a little button on it that just makes it sloppy, like it's just free goes and
yeah.
For whatever reason, the Mac registers that wheel completely different.
You're going to say backwards.
Than the Windows. No, not that. It's not even backwards. It's, let's say I'm on something and I want to scroll down and then read and then scroll down and read, and I'm on a page, a website page. So I'll scroll down and I'll stop it where I want it to stop.
Right.
And the Mac goes, "Oh shit, you missed it." What? And it winds it back to where I was. And I'm like, the hell just happened? And I wind it down and I stop it and it goes, and it sucks it back. No. Or I do that same movement and it goes down and it goes all the way to the bottom. And I'm like, what is happening with this? It's not doing at all what I wanted to do. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's because I'm supposed to have one of those trackpads that and then it'll fix all the issues I'm having with
I mean,
the
it
wrong type.
would, yeah, because you wouldn't be able to go woo, right? But it's gonna be in your settings somewhere. I mean, how much have you played with the settings?
I don't know how to do any of that.
Okay, well, first of all, take your mouse and go up to the little apple in the top left hand corner.
Okay.
And then go to system settings.
Got it.
And then go
fixed it. Nope.
Yeah, that quickly, right? Touch. Nope. Oh, what's it going to be under?
Mouse.
It'll be towards the bottom. Yeah. So
I
don't
have
that.
a button.
I don't have that because I have a trackpad. But yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll have all kinds of options. I'm sure there's something. In there.
Oh no. Because see, it's even for mouse, it's like it's saying natural scrolling content tracks finger movement.
Maybe
I don't have a trackpad, and it's like tracking speed, and then it's like secondary click right side. Yeah.
Are you on trackpad?
Double
or are you
click
on
speed.
Mouse?
No, I just have a regular, just the.
No, but I mean the option.
It's registering it as that.
Maybe
instead. Hang on. Pointer acceleration. When enabled, the pointer will move more quickly. For fast mouse movements and precisely for slow mouse movements. That drove me crazy. I couldn't figure that out to save my life. I kept doing it. Damn, what is happening with the?
Oh, yeah, no, I don't like my iPad does that and I hate it.
So I shut that off. I don't know. I think I just need to get a.
It could also be in your G-Hub settings too.
I don't have my mouse hooked up to my G-Hub.
It's a Logitech mouse though, right?
I should. Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't, but I probably could, and that would probably enable me
maybe
the ability to fix it. Probably not the best use of a podcast.
I was gonna say, welcome to the IT segment of the Minding Your Business podcast.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I've specifically said that I cannot fix your printer.
You did say that, and I did get the printer working. Finally.
Good job.
Now it doesn't work with my wife's computer. Yeah.
Well, priorities, right?
Yeah. Well, I looked up G-Hub. It does say Discover, and Logi Play came up. So that's not it. So I don't know. Discover. I don't know how to add a mouse to it. Is the problem. Discover new ways to play. I don't need to play. I don't want to play anything. So, well, it is what it is. Well, it really kind of depends, I suppose. Is there anybody even watching that we're boring yet? No, 2 people. Okay, good. So let's keep it going. Keep the party going. It is so difficult for me to do anything on the computer since I am ultimately non-literate when it comes to computering. I think I know, like, I got this. Yep, didn't work like I think it should have. So done. Like, I don't know where to go. I have no troubleshooting ability. I plug it in and it works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, I unplug it and I plug it back in. And then it either works or it doesn't.
I mean, you're already halfway there. I think the biggest thing with trying to fix something or figure things out is not being afraid to break things. So.
Okay. Well, then I'm there.
Yeah.
I don't mind breaking them.
What your next step? So you have the biggest, probably the most important part. Now you just need a framework to work inside of. So you sit there. It's so one of the methods I think engineers use this, the 5 whys. Right.
Oh yes.
So, right. So you sit there and you're like, okay, well, I'm not afraid to break it. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start taking things apart. I unplugged it. I plugged it back in. It's still not working. Why? Well, maybe because this. You check that. No, it's still not working.
Right.
Okay, why? And giving kind of your options, right? So if it could be this, or this. You try those things, but you have to critically think through what might be causing the problem. So could it be a software issue? Could it be a hardware issue? Could it be a power issue, right? Could it just be that you're using a Logitech mouse on an Apple computer, right? I mean, that's not going to be it because people do that.
Right.
I personally, I would encourage you to get, unless you like just love using a mouse, a trackpad, because specifically the Apple trackpad, there's so many like different gestures you can use that make your life easier, and it's stuff that becomes so second nature. I mean, for me, when I'm really like moving around, I use
moving and cracking.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so right now I think I have 6, maybe 7 desktops. I have 7 desktops, and each desktop has its set of windows and its purpose. Like right now we're on my like 5th desktop, and it's all this stuff for minding your business. And then I've got 2 screens. I've got my laptop screen over here. I've got my 40-inch monitor right here. And I've got, the group of 9 tab browser windows here. I've got a group of like 18 over here, Zoom, OBS, all the things, right? And so when I'm navigating through, if I need to get to like a Finder window that's behind this, I've got a gesture for that, right? So I can open up, I can close, I can swipe, either way, up, down, like, and it all becomes second nature. And I like, there's a moment there when you're really into it, you feel like you're in like, do you remember Minority Report? Where Tom Cruise is like swiping through the things and it's like a hologram.
And he has all the screens.
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be nice. That I can tell you, for me, I have 2 screens. So I have 6 desktops. I have 3 desktops for each screen.
Okay.
And I press the thumb button, and then it opens the miniature screen. And I just have to remember what's on it. I wish it kind of expanded out.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. But I know like screen 4 which is the first screen on the second screen.
Okay.
Option opens up all my lights and my stuff and controls all of that stuff. And then I click that when I go to the next one, which is screen number 5, the middle one. I open up the middle one, and then it's got all of my stuff for doing all my online therapy. And then the next one over is what I do with the research and stuff on. So it's like I have it broken down into the different separate window screens, which would be desktop screens, I guess. I don't know how. I suppose they're desktops because that's what it says. Desktop 1, desktop.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'd love to be able to relabel them to like therapy desktop, this, but I don't know if you can. No. But I would also love it if it kind of expanded out. It's like, these are all of the things that are on this desktop because they're buried and stacked.
Yeah. So the way to do that, well, yes, that is an option, right? So for me, that's 3 or 4 fingers up, like swiping up on the trackpad, and it reveals all the windows. So I have 11 windows open in this desktop because I'm insane. It's actually a really great representation of my brain, right? So there's a million things going on. Everything's compartmentalized, but there's stuff over here that's happening, it's kind of on the back burner, simmering, causing like low grade anxiety, right? And then there's stuff over here causing low grade anxiety, like
when you said that, I clicked my thumb down to where it puts all the different desktops on the top, and the desktop I'm on, it puts all the windows out so I can see all the stuff that's on it. And I'm like, how did I not know that was a thing?
Because you were looking in the wrong place.
Because I only look at the top when I click the thumb. I don't look at the actual screen. So until you just said that, I didn't even know that was a thing or an option or a way to. So anyway.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. This is what I do. I talk down to people and tell them how they're, they just haven't figured out how to use their technology yet. And I make them feel less.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's really interesting because I feel like realistically it falls in line with everything we've been talking about before, like with your attention. You're not paying attention to the rest of the screen. You don't see it. It's there right in my face, but I'm only looking up at the top for the little window. Then I click those and then the stuff pops up, and then I still don't know because I'm only looking at the thing in the front.
Right.
Not knowing I could click it again and have it open up all of the things that are on that desktop instead of like getting yellow, or trying to move them. And I try and place them in the thing so that they're like stacked so I can like click on the third one or fourth one. I don't have to do that anymore. Now I just click the thumb, grab the one I want, it brings it to the front.
There's another thing, another feature that they introduced in the last operating system. So have you upgraded to Sequoia yet? It just came out in the
I've
last week or
upgraded
so.
to I just recently upgraded
Okay.
to whatever came out. I can look and see if it's actually that.
So, well, it came out like the previous one. I think it was Yosemite. No, that's way old. I don't even remember what the last thing was. Ventura, maybe. So it's.
I think I
it's
have
called
I
Stage
thought
Manager.
I had Catalina. Let me see.
That's way old too.
Macro, no, Sequoia
There you go.
15.0.1.
Yeah. So there's also something called Stage Manager.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't have beta on.
Yeah, it's not a beta thing. It's like it's been around for a year. But I'm just saying you might want to like play with the Stage Manager. You know the little toggle thing up like next to the time in the upper right part where you get to like your Bluetooth settings and sound and stuff.
Didn't until just now.
Okay, so that's a that's a great place to go for a lot of things. But you'll see something in there that says Stage Manager, and
I do see that.
you click that and it does some stuff. That has not made it into my life. I feel like my workflow is
With Stage Manager, you can create your ideal workspace and multitask with ease. Resize app windows, see multiple overlapping windows in a single view, and switch between apps. Oh, I'm definitely turning that on.
yeah. I don't know. I haven't played with it on my computer. I've played with it on my iPad. I don't know what you're seeing, but let me know how it works for you because
I can tell you right now, I'm going to be happy with this.
I don't know.
I turned it on. It instantly put the other two windows that were full size behind your screen.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see it. Couldn't. Now they're now off to the
Off to the
what would be
side.
my left.
Okay.
Tuk, 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 tuk. And so now you just
Yeah.
click on it. Okay.
I will play with it this week. Yeah, it's one of those things where that's going to be hard to retrain my brain. That's going to be those neural pathways are dug in fairly deep, So, but I'll play with it.
Yeah.
I don't like it
And
on
then
my
it's-
iPad because I think it's just my screen's too small. It just takes up too much real estate.
Okay. Now that makes sense.
But
Yeah,
on a 40-inch
it's,
screen, it's probably okay. Have you
Yeah,
seen? Well, you probably haven't yet. But so there's a feature that I've used a application for years, probably the last 9-10 years,
Okay.
where I think it was called I forget what it was called, maybe Spaces or something. But
Okay.
I would be able to drag a window to the left side, upper left corner. It would go into a quarter. I could drag it to the left side. It would go,
Right.
half, split the screen. And so
Yep.
for organizing many windows on one display, it's very, very handy. They now have built
Yes.
that into the operating system. So I don't have to use an external plug anymore, but I'm now having to kind of retrain how to use it, retrain those neural pathways.
Right.
But it's great. So you can actually, the little green button or green, if you're going to of a window, there's like red, yellow, and green. If you
Mhm.
hover over green, it'll bring up here's where it can go. And you can just throw it there. You can also just drag it up to a corner and you'll see it kind of highlight and show where it's going to land, where it's going to put it. Super handy. It's not quite as powerful as the one I was using because the one I was using, because I have a big display, it wasn't just quadrants. It was, I could do quadrants, I could do thirds, I could do sixths. Did I use that a whole lot? No, I mostly use quadrants, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, anyway.
Okay.
It took me on this computer, on my laptop, it took me, I think, 11 months to upgrade to Ventura because I was just like, I don't feel like going through the process right now. It wasn't about new features, I'm not afraid of it or anything like that. It was just a matter of I've got a lot of stuff I'm working on. I don't want to have to close all my windows. That also kind of says how long I went without restarting my computer.
Right.
Which is amazing, right? But anyway, I
What's
installed it
this-
less than a month ago, and I was
Right.
like, okay, finally I have some of these new features and stuff. And then literally Sequoia drops last week. I'm like, well, crap. I'm just gonna do it this day. Like I'm just gonna pick the day and get it done.
Dude, what's crazy is turn off your computer.
Oh,
and when you restart it, it says, you want to reopen everything you had open before? And you're like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But that's how long. I mean, I don't really use that feature.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my other new favorite things is the iPhone mirroring. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I have that.
I wish that I could. I was actually pretty excited for it once I started playing around with it, because I was thinking, right now I'm using my phone as my camera because my display doesn't have a webcam. I have I don't even know where it is. It's somewhere in this folder in front of me. A cam link, so I can take an HDMI camera and set it up and make that my camera. Like a capture card, it's a Elgato Cam Link, I think is what it is.
Okay.
And I have it and I want to use it, but I'm not going to mess with it until
you have to take the time to,
I'm not going to mess with it until I have my permanent office set up. So,
sure. Okay.
Which this is not, this is temporary.
Right.
Thus the boring colored background. But squirrel, sorry. I want to get to that kind of setup, but until I do, I'm stuck using my phone, and I can't use the continuity camera and iPhone mirroring at the same time.
Right. Which it will only mirror when you're not on your phone.
Right. But I'm not on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm using my phone's camera. So anyway, because I was a lot of times, like, while we're going, I'll be getting text messages and that kind of stuff, and I don't look at them because I can't see them. I can't get to them. And I know you're going to sit there and say, but can't you get your text messages on your Mac? The answer is yes. And I don't ever want to get a text message on my Mac. When I'm on my computer, it means I'm working or doing this, and I don't want to see your text messages. I'm sorry, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have it. I mean, it's there, but I don't have it alert. I don't have it nothing. Like, there's probably messages. I can probably read them. I just don't want to ever.
Right. I've actually gone so far as, like, I don't get on my text messages. Like on my phone, it doesn't have the little circle that has the number of text messages you have. Because that number will never be zero, like unread messages. I think I'm in the 80s right now for how many unread text messages I have. And I can scroll for days and not find them. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not going back through conversations from, 6 months ago and looking at them. I have, however, just enabled in the last couple of weeks that feature where it says, like,
it wipes it out if it hadn't been 6 months or whatever.
Great. Actually, I don't know if it does that, but
it does.
The red thing, like shown as red, I've turned that on so people know. Hopefully, I haven't seen your text message. I'm not ignoring you. I just haven't seen it. Right.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's kind of, it's one of my dysfunctions. But I'm not a big fan of text messaging. I'm less of a fan of email.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of phone calls. This is good because I can see you and I can read your body language. I'm only really good with in-person communication. That's it.
You're like, I pretty much, if you have the opportunity, swing by, knock on the door.
Yeah.
Because otherwise.
But even then, I'm going to need you to go ahead and tell me you're coming before you come over so that I'm,
What
prepared.
I need you to do, drop me off a note. Pop it on the door to tell me that you're coming by a few days later.
Yeah.
At a specific time.
Yeah. Ridiculous. I think I don't know if it's an age thing, I didn't used to be this way, but I don't know if it's just getting older. I'm becoming a hermit or what, but I think actually it's probably because of business, for so long, I was the bottleneck for everything. During the marketing agency days, it was just like constant communication. And, I mean, to the point, like, where it's almost, I don't know, this is going to be overly dramatic, but like PTSD, when I was coming out of that phase, I'm not like this anymore, but like my phone would like ring or, make a noise like that I got a text message, and I would like want to throw it across the room. I'm not like that anymore.
Okay.
I've chilled.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
I
like I hated my phone for a long time.
yeah, I've had to let people know. Uh, I answer emails once a week
That seems healthy. I like that.
because I do it once a week. I'm not going to look at my email on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm not looking at it any of those days. I'll look at it on Thursday or Friday, clear up the emails. So I tell them one time a week I sit down. Now that granted, it's any time on Thursday or Friday. So I'm not going to nail myself down to Thursday by 10 a.m.
Right,
I'm not doing.
right.
Yeah, because then I'll start hating it even more. So now I'm like, I got a few minutes. I'll answer a few emails. Okay. And then later I come back and okay, I can do a few more. That's it. Texting. I don't. I just tell people don't text me, don't call. Like, just don't. I saw if you were calling me and I didn't answer, I was busy.
Right.
I try and send the I'm busy thing and I try and put it to automatic send I'm busy. Just so people know I got it. You don't need to call me again. You don't need to send me another text. You don't need to, if you need me to know something, leave it as a voicemail, but do not under any circumstances leave me a voicemail that says, just giving you a call, give me a call back. I never, ever, ever need to hear that from you. Ever. That's just going to get your number blocked. So the other crazy thing is my phone, if it rings and it is an unknown number, it doesn't ring.
Right.
But
Same.
it just goes directly to voicemail. And if they don't leave a voicemail explaining who they are and why they called, they get blocked.
Right. Right.
I don't have time to have another missed call on my phone. So you're getting blocked.
It's tough
I
because
probably
I try
have-
to really guard my number. I don't just give it to anyone. You know, like
Yeah, mine gets sold a lot, I think. Stolen and sold because I'm constantly getting, hey, you there? Absolutely not. Block and junk and report.
Yeah.
And so
For me, I had to have we have a virtual phone system for the different businesses, right? And there are times when it can ring. There are times when it, we're not accepting calls, and we have things in place, like for technical support, right? We have things in place where if it's an urgent issue, we have a form on the website, like, hey, let us know. That stuff makes it through, right? And it goes to our Slack channel and everyone's notified.
Sure.
But you have to create boundaries. I had this one client one time, I'm not going to say who it was, but he was a doctor. And he called me on like a Saturday night at 9 p.m. And, he's drinking and he had this just epiphany of creativity, right? Like he's, ready to jam and had all these great ideas. And, I spent like an hour and a half on the phone and it's like, okay, well, he's on a retainer. It's coming out of his time, but it's Saturday night at 9 p.m. Like that's family time for me.
Right.
And it just,
and then you're only billing him regular time.
Right. Right. And so putting those things in place and then not giving people my cell phone number, it would still ring my cell phone number, right? The virtual phone system and stuff. But it took a long time. I've had to learn some things the hard way. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's also why I think, some of that, like I hated my phone for a while. There was a season where I think for about 2 years, every pitch we put out, we won.
Right.
So it was a blast. And I still look back at that time of life. It was probably one of the most fun periods of my life.
Okay.
But my gosh. I mean, like I joke around and I say, I earned the bags that I have under my eyes. That was that season, and a lot of it was like, I had a young team, or green is probably not the right word, but I was trying to find people to replace me.
Right.
Right. And so we were having a lot of success, but I was new at running a team. They were newish at doing some of this team work.
Okay.
And so I should have raised up people that had the ability to make decisions without me.
So you had a bunch of people you could babysit who could do what you asked them to do, but weren't prepared to do it without you asking.
And having someone to actually be a client liaison, so it wasn't always talking to CJ,
Right.
That would have been helpful too. And things morphed. But then by the time I had those things in place the right way, I was like, let's blow it all up and we're just going to do websites, So,
Right.
but again, all those things have led to where we are now. So,
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, what's new
Yeah.
with you?
I think everything can't be a glowing success all of the time. And it does become frustrating listening to people boast about all of their successes without ever even mentioning any of their failures or hardships or struggles.
Right.
And I can tell you this is this season of struggle for me. So yeah, I can't say that I'm not having any success, because some things are turning out to be fairly successful, and I'm learning a whole bunch that I think will ultimately help me in the future. It's just a matter of getting through the struggles unscathed, or at least better than I was going in.
Okay.
Because I want to come out having learned something, being stronger or better for it, not just beat up. And then I'm
right.
like,
not just scarred and maimed. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just need to take time off. I just need to quit. I don't want to quit necessarily. And I say that almost tongue in cheek, because I'm cutting out so many things that I used to think were important, that I used to do, or that I designated time for. I'll tell you what, I absolutely now play this mental game, because, I think in pictures. I'm constantly now, I have this quadrant thing in my head where I use the system that you taught me, which was urgent and important.
Right.
And this is a yes, yes, and this is a no, no, and it's a yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, 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 yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, which quadrant does it fall in? And so, in my mind, if it's lower left, the way I'm looking at it, it's lower left for me. I have to do it, and I have to do it now because it's important and urgent.
Right.
And then if not, it's important, but it's not urgent. So I can do that tomorrow, or I can do that this weekend. So I set a time for it to find out when it's urgent by.
Right.
And then the opposite is it's urgent, but it's not important. So let me squeeze that in. And so that's something that needs to be taken care of. I'm going to squeeze it in. And then it's not urgent and it's not important. I'm probably not doing it. I will write it on the marker board.
Yeah.
It will get written on the marker board as if, hey, this is something I might want to consider later.
Yeah.
But I'm going to waste no more brain space, no more time, no more effort, no more nothing on it. And so I constantly am like, I'll just put a dart or a pin. It's that needs to be handled.
Where do most of your tasks fall? Like what quadrant would they fall into?
The way my brain works is I think, you know what, that's fairly important, because I've thought about it now 3 times. So let's put it under important and not urgent, because it doesn't need to be done by this weekend. For me, everything is within the next win. By this, I stop everything at the weekend, because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm incognito. I'm like, my phone isn't on, my nothing. I'm just doing therapy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all day. I do nothing else. Almost nothing else. The only other thing I do is Hapkido.
Okay.
With Jackson. So I work extra late on Monday, so we don't do anything on Monday. Tuesday, I work all day, and then I leave therapy, go straight to Hapkido, then have dinner, then go to bed. And then on Wednesday, I work in the office, virtual office. We go to Hapkido, then I go to bed. And so that is my Tuesday, Wednesday. The only extra thing I do on Tuesday, Wednesday is that.
So most of your tasks fall into the important but not urgent quadrant.
Right. Right.
I mean,
I do have things that are urgent and important that I know need to get done. And those, fortunately, I have a wife. And I will tell her, this is fairly important and I can't get to it by this date or this time unless I take time off, or unless I do this, unless I do that. Is this something you can take off my plate?
Right.
Normally she's like, yeah, I can do it, but I can only do it by, she's really good at organization. So she's like, I can't do it until 10 on Tuesday. And I'm like, that works. Let's do it. And then I know it's done and it's taken care of.
So I don't know why, maybe it's just my own dysfunction, but most of my tasks fall into the urgent, but maybe not important category.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Some things are both important and
urgent. Yeah, of course.
Right. If a website goes down, that's both important and urgent. Right.
Right.
I think less things now are in that urgent but not important category.
Okay.
But there's one client I'm thinking of in particular that I'm no longer have as a client, and I'll just leave it at that, as that. You
Okay.
probably know who I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Because we've had many conversations about it. But everything, like the sky was always falling. Everything was always urgent. Even, like very, very few things were important. But it was always super urgent, had to drop everything, to kiss the ring.
Right.
And
right.
That's not a healthy place to be. It caused
No.
a lot of just, I don't know, unneeded anxiety. And again,
Mhm.
like this isn't me being like,
So
not
for
taking
me,
good care of the client. It's not that. It was just they had a tendency to create problems that didn't
it's so
actually
urgent.
exist.
Yeah, and urgent in someone else's mind. It doesn't mean it's urgent in mine. So their definition of urgent may not be the same as mine. So for them, urgent is important.
Yeah.
And for me, it isn't.
Right.
Does it need to be done in the next 24 hours? Not
Right.
really.
Right.
How about 48? Not really. But for them, they're like, no, we need to do it right now.
Right.
Oh, or you need to take it out of your mind and set it on a list, knowing it'll get done. It's only that urgent for you because you know yourself and you know that if I don't do it now, I will forget it and it will never get done.
Right. Right.
So if that's how you operate, great. Start keeping a list.
Yep.
So keeping a list changed my life because now I write it down. It's not that thing that's rolling in my head over and over and over. And even if you heard what I said in the first place and I caught myself saying it, but I'd already said it, is I've thought about it 3 times. It
Right.
must be important.
Right.
And so I get caught in the same exact trap. And that's not necessarily the case. So I have to be able to redefine that. So keeping the list helps me do that more often because my go-to is it's important and urgent, or it's got to be important because
Right.
I've been thinking about it all night. It must be important.
In my own
That
life,
doesn't necessarily mean
I have a tendency to, overload my schedule. But so I am very much, if it's in my mind, I just want to take care of it. I would much rather just do something and it never even make it to my to-do list. Even
Right.
though like one of the most satisfying things for me is to cross something off my to-do list. Like I
Right.
love that feeling. But I think I create again, like that, my own low level anxiety by like, I just need to do it now because I don't have to put it on the list. Right. Which is
Right.
dumb. I should just put it on the list and do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Again,
and then
if it's
end up
not
being
urgent.
so busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So busy for nothing really. And what did they say? Like 20% of your actions are where you get 80% of your results.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the stuff you're doing is pointless, busy work.
Sure
anyway.
feels like it.
And when you're like, oh my God, I'm so busy all the time. I'm like, oh, you could cut out probably 60% of that and still be good.
Yeah.
You could start doing half of what you're doing now and still be really good if you figured out what it is that's getting you the results and what it is that's wasted time.
Right. Right.
But
I mean, honestly, that's kind of like, live stream, for example, right? We're trying this live stream thing.
right.
To see if live is what works for us. Right.
Right.
And we tried it on Facebook and it was I don't want to say catastrophe, but there were a lot of technical
Right.
issues. Right. And so, Twitch and YouTube might be better, but for me, it's really less about the live stream and it's more about the conversation. And the conversations we have are life-giving to me. I enjoy the podcast. Like, so for the podcast part is not going away for me. We
Right.
might end up saying, okay, we tried this for 6 months on Twitch and YouTube and, it worked or it didn't work or didn't meet our expectations or whatever. Or it was a blazing success. I don't want to be negative.
Right.
But I mean, I was looking through the other day. I was like, man, I really wish we could we should live stream on X too. We should live stream on Facebook also, like on all these things. And I'm like, should we? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think, again, it's just adding more layers of complication.
Yeah.
What's the ROI? Right.
Yes.
So for me,
honestly,
the
if we were
ROI
just
is in
doing
the podcast, it's not in
if
all
we
the
were
live streams.
just doing the podcast as our career, like that was the sole breadwinning. Yeah, absolutely. I want to be live on
Right.
every single possible platform. I want to be live. in the meantime, sure. Would we reach a better audience? Maybe. Would we? Okay, maybe. I don't know. But is it worth all of the extra time, effort, and expense to do it now before we've like I feel like we're walking and we're walking at a good pace.
Yeah.
We're not sprinting.
Right.
And whether or not sprinting is the proper term for it, or we're kind of on one of those things at the airport where the floor is moving and we're walking, so we feel like we're getting assisted speed.
Yeah.
That's where I ultimately want to be. I don't want to have to run all the time.
Right.
I want to walk at a nice, brisk, healthy pace, but get additional effort rewarded because through algorithm, through whatever that makes us pick up speed, and it's exponential. Great. That's not happening yet. So at this point, it doesn't make sense to diversify out
Right.
wide at this point, I think.
Actually, I ran across a whole thing on YouTube. Like, YouTube's really trying to support podcasts right now. And so,
Okay.
I think that's an opportunity for just discovery. Right.
Right.
And we'll see, like, I know like we're like on Twitch right now, but I don't know that that's really where our audience is. I know that we're trying that out because we want engagement,
I really want to be able to engage and talk and get questions and answers and so forth. And
right.
I understand that a lot of the audience base that's on Twitch gets involved and has
Right.
that interaction. So that's what I would in fact like. However, you're probably right in that it may or may not be even how our audience might find us. So the people that might actually be interested, how would they find us? Because how is Twitch promoting it out?
Well,
and
and
the people that are on it,
why
do they
would
just
it?
have it on in the background, or
right. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what it comes down to for me, like whether or not we get helped by an algorithm, it's mostly people that are, at least if you look at the people that are streaming, it's mostly video games, right? Definitely has a place, like, but that's the audience, right? People that are looking, they want to watch someone stream,
Right.
And there obviously there's like talk shows and podcasts, category.
Sure.
So that's, that's why we're here. Right.
Right.
But I don't know, YouTube. Yeah. There's definitely
Man.
something here. Right.
You know what? Honestly, I think you have a point. If we really looked at it, are we just simply looking for audience engagement? Or are we looking to talk to and with people that are interested in building a business, asking questions about building? But I'm going to guess that business building audience isn't necessarily on Twitch. I'm not talking shit about Twitch people, right?
Same.
But I'm just thinking, is that where, like, if I know if I want to see bullshit gossip, like, I'm not going to LinkedIn, going to Facebook.
Right.
So it's really about where are you going to get what you're getting, what you're looking for. Like, I'm not going to a salad bar to find a burger.
Right.
Right. If you go to a burger place, if you want a burger, you go to a salad bar if you want a salad. So maybe it's about recognizing the existing potential audience and then doing what we do in that space and seeing who's there to listen or who's
yeah. Well, and YouTube is great for, I think, that, and I think it's also great for community engagement, right? So
right.
I just watched a live before we hopped on. I was watching for an hour and a half a live interview that I was, and people were blowing up the comments. There were over 50,000 people that were watching the live stream. Like, right?
Wow.
So
I would have never thought that.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It had to have been I suppose if it was an interview that I was interested in watching, I might watch it live if I'm sitting and I'm like, oh my God, that's on and that's live. Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't even know necessarily that YouTube would know to show me that, since I've never watched a live thing before.
Well, it's a podcast. It's a podcast that I listen to all, regularly. And so it was basically like, they're
on the podcast, they did an interview.
Yes.
So you're okay. So you've already been in the habit of watching the podcast, and now It was just happened to be an interview that you wanted to watch. I got you.
I got 5 minutes. That was my 5-minute warning. So I think that YouTube is kind of probably going to be more where our audience
In
is.
line. Mm-hmm.
So then, like, what are our other options? One thing that we are going to be doing, we haven't talked about this, but for Spotify, since we have this live streaming setup, right, and we're doing video anyway, we'll be uploading the video to Spotify, so it's not just going to be audio, right?
Right.
And
I think that's a good idea.
Like what other channels do we want to put out on? Like we could actually replay or upload our podcast, our stream, whatever, to other channels at a different time. We could go live on Facebook at a different time, or on X or on whatever, and we might try it, see if we get any engagement. Go live and then just watch the chat, Right. I mean, I'm interested. Let's put it that way. I'm really interested to see how this all shakes out. My biggest thing is I get distracted by my setup, and I want to make sure that that's good. And we're getting past all the technical side of things.
Right.
And so now it's like, okay, I can focus on having fun with
the
this
other part
instead of
I'll tell you what, I was a little bit disappointed. I did enjoy the live Facebook stuff.
Yeah.
Because there were people in the group that would come online and ask questions and do stuff. And that was awesome. I was disappointed in the technology failure.
Right.
And everything we kept trying to do would be like, well, you got to have 10,000 people. Well, you got to have, like, there's all these thresholds. And it's like, well, we can't do what we're trying to do. How are we ever going to acquire the audience required to do what we need to do in order to acquire the audience?
Right.
Like, it ended up being that chicken and egg thing. And I'm like, this stinks. So maybe it makes sense to do it on other things and then take it back.
Yeah.
Or
well, I think now if we went to Facebook, the technical side of things would kind of be handled, because we would use we're using OBS right now, right? So we would use the same thing to connect to it. We'd go through Restream or whatever.
Okay. Without doing that phone thing and then
we started off awkward every single time. It's like
the whole thing was
ugh. Yeah. Anyway, so
that wasn't my favorite.
I do need to take off, but
okay.
I know we're a little early this week. We're finishing before we would normally start. But we will be back on our schedule next week. So
next Thursday, 11 o'clock.
Yeah. And we still have, we haven't talked about this. I still have like 2 or 3 episodes that I think we should release before we fully
from the
go
old
into
season,
this.
from last season.
Yeah.
Are those the interview ones or those?
Yeah, the interview ones. Yeah.
Let's get those out because I think that makes sense. And then, plus that, and we need to touch, I mean, I know we got to go, but we need to touch base again on creating the group for the thing with the book I'm writing. So the page for people to at least come to, because I've got to start. I've been talking about it on my YouTube videos, my latest videos, talking about join the group. It's in the description. I don't have that link for that, even if it's just a landing page that says, so sorry, come back, kind of a thing. Under construction type of thing.
Yeah, there's so much more we need to talk about. So I think maybe we do that next week.
Let's do it next week.
Because roast of the week is going to be set up to give you like some kind of code and a thing.
Okay.
It's like, oh man, like I made some big changes this week. I just don't have time to talk about it. So yeah, hang on. Here we go. Cheers.
Yeah.
Yay.
Alrighty.
But yeah, we'll cover all that stuff next week. And I think we're really close to actually getting this to be in the podcast. Like right now we're just live streaming, right? But I think we're really, really close to getting it.
No, I think, we'll test it, check the audio, because last time we had some issues with the audio. So fortunately we weren't recording a podcast yet. I think we got a couple more practices. Yeah. And see if people jump in. If they
we'll be ready just in time for the holidays.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, right, man. Well, It was a good one.
Nice talking to you this week. I'll talk to you next week.
Alrighty. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.